Welcome back to the Troubleshooting Like podcast. I'm your host, Craig Poston, with my co-host, Jay Peters, where we talk about various topics, sharing our experiences on life and finance. What's up, man?
What's going on?
Not much. Yeah, we're back. Yeah, exactly. We took our little break. As always, summertime.
But
Yeah. Probably should, as we say every time, we should probably set something up so we can have this continuation during our break.
yeah, no, I think we ran through some of our backlog items that we were doing. So it's either I wake up at like 3 a.m. and we do this, or I don't wake up at 3 a.m. and we don't do this.
Yeah, no. Yeah, especially, Hawaii. What's the time zone from that to here?
It's 5 hours right now.
Yeah, so it's like,
they don't do daylight saving. So right now it's 5 hours.
okay, that's 5 hours back, or?
Yeah, they're behind us. So right now, since it's about noon our time, it's about 7 a.m. there.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be kind of rough. Like, we would always have to schedule something midday.
Yeah.
If we were to do that. I guess we could have.
Yeah.
But shoulda, coulda, woulda.
No, but and they did have like a business center area, which actually wasn't too bad, like a small little area. But I don't know, but it was like in a glass area, so like, and it was like a high foot traffic area for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how comfortable or quiet or private it would have been.
Yeah. No, that is the other thing, is actually having a closed off room, so people not just walking in and out or yelling as they walk past.
Yeah. But granted, like I said, it would have been, if I did it like 3 a.m, no one's really up except for people that are working.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you being in Hawaii, I know that was a good trip. I know it was work, but it was, relaxing after work.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, so I guess like one of the negatives of me is that like I'm a big workaholic, so I love working. I love helping out people. But dude, in Hawaii, and I don't know if I've talked about it the previous times I've been there, but dude, the I don't want to say, maybe it's not the work ethic, and maybe it's just like the culture of the area, and maybe it's military active duty side too. So it could be a combination of things. But dude, no one wants to do work, and I mean like it's so bad to where like it's like they get upset with you when you're doing work. And I don't know, maybe because you're making them look bad or something like that. But dude, no one wants to do anything while they're there. It's crazy.
I mean, think about it. It's Hawaii,
dude. It is, but like I'm just like saying, like it's great. Like no, don't get me wrong. Like Hawaii's awesome, and if you're working there and stuff, but like if you're working there temporarily for like the past 3 weeks, like how I was, then it's awesome. Like you can do very little work, go do out whatever you want, and because you're gonna go back home. But if you're there for like minimum is like 3 years, right? And in those 3 years, if you haven't accomplished anything because you didn't do any work, like what was the point? Like, I guess in active duty, when you're up to a certain rank, it doesn't really mean much, right? So like if you're like an E8 active duty, you show up for a few hours a day and then you leave, and then you're, doing whatever you want with the family or whatever it is. And yeah, I guess that's a cool time. But bro, like for the younger guys, like they're going to be there, and their command is going to be so poor of work ethic that they're not going to get anything done. They're not going to get any support for the stuff they need to get done. To me, it becomes ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, if that's the culture, and I get what you're saying now, because you're talking about someone that's if they're newer to the military, right? And
they're newer, but even younger, or what's called in a junior enlist, like say E5 or E6 and below.
Yeah.
Right. What is and maybe newer? Like if that's your first command, I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Because you're not, because not every place is going to be like that. So you go to a place that's very lackadaisical, and then say your next command is very strict. Like if you go from Hawaii to Fort Bragg, you're screwed. Like that's night and day. That is literally night and day difference. Where one is very high. What's it called?
Yeah.
Like very strict.
One high paced. Yeah. Because
and one incredibly slow paced. I mean slow.
Yeah.
Like
and I think it might be the units, because like I remember a guy I was deployed with. He was stationed in Hawaii. And I asked him, I said, hey, how was Hawaii? He was like, well, my wife and kid, they enjoyed Hawaii. He was deployed majority of the time he was there. Yeah. So like I guess it depends on the unit, and I guess what's going on at the time. Yeah. So if it's more peacetime, I guess that would probably make a lot of sense. Everything calms down a little bit.
Yeah.
But Yeah, because I know, yeah, with going to Germany after Fort Bragg, I was still on that, you know, yeah, my pace was still high. Like it was still going. And
Yeah, so you could be a rock star by the second year.
yeah, that's what I noticed. I was like, to me, I felt like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
But I was like a 10 because I was like,
like a 10, right?
yeah. Because like when you're there, you kind of want to chill. But then I saw that they had more opportunity there. And somebody else told me that too. They were like, yeah, you don't get this at other units. So you have where they had work for you to do, they had things to do and things that came up, but that also gave you opportunity to go to classes because they had breaks, pauses between work. And you can like, oh, well, there's no TDYs or anything right now. And that's probably the best time to go. Let me go ahead and get, let me put in for these classes so I can get these classes knocked out. So it's like my in between. And then it was even more awesome because you're allowed to wear civilian clothes. So it's almost like you're not even part of the military while you're part of this class. And that's how they set it up. They set it up so the units won't keep pulling their people back from classes. So they make it where, nope, you belong to this class. Your place of duty is the class. Their uniform is civilians, and that's what you wear. So like, yeah. So that's what I took advantage of while I was there. Since I saw that, and again, when people are kind of lackadaisical, right? Yeah. They don't see these opportunities, and then they're just like, I got my security plus, we're good. Yeah. You know, they just they check the block and they call it good. You know, and they just show up to work every day. And I was like, no, let me go to this class. Even if I don't get the cert, I have new knowledge about IT that's hard to get everywhere else in the military, I would say. You know.
No, I think that's like and don't let me like knock on Hawaii. Like, dude, Hawaii is absolutely beautiful. Like, I love but for me, like, I love the food, I love the people. It's just like for me, I guess the environment and mindset, I can see why people are not productive and why people aren't doing a lot more with their lives there, other than, going out to the beach and just going to work or chilling at work, whatever it is, right? Like, it makes sense. Like, for anyone that's been there and like done work there and try to do like a vacation there, like, it's great to vacation because there's tons of stuff to do outside. Yeah. But it is very like, even something as simple as like driving or like speed limits, right? Those speed limits there are a lot lower. Yeah. People aren't trying to really go places unless it's work. So it's like the entire mentality and culture there is slower paced or lower paced.
Yeah.
So like people are like a lot more relaxed there, and so all those things make sense. It's just that that's not how I operate. And I think if I were to continue to grow up there when I was younger, I probably would be that way, because you are kind of like around the environment, or the environment kind of helps bring you up. That I would probably be more lackadaisical, but I don't prefer that.
Well, no, I mean, if that's not your personality, and if you groom yourself to be more of a high pace, productive person, I think what you're doing is you're creating a good work ethic, and that's your standard. You don't have to change your standard. You might, the intensity, you might adjust it to the environment, but like, don't change your standard. Your standard is for this, and that'll make you where you're in any environment and you still survive, versus like, it's up and down, depends on where you go. So, I mean, I think it's really the work ethic. Yeah, that's all it is. You just have a different one because if people have that kind of like not so great work ethic, they kind of carry it everywhere they go. They're not going to adjust, to whatever their environment. Yeah. So like, one thing I've learned how to do is be adaptable, right? And that's, especially with Army units, you have to learn how to adjust, because one unit will be intense, then you go to another unit, they drive you crazy, then another unit, it's slow pace, and it's just like you have to learn how to adjust to whatever they are, and not to let them drive you crazy, because it would happen.
I mean, maybe that's the other thing, is like, I've never been active duty, so I've never had that adjustment. Like, I've been stuck with one unit or a specific unit or a specific area where it's always been a certain pace. And I guess, for me, it was because it was only 3 weeks, like, I didn't get used to how they were. So my intensity may not have adjusted as quickly. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. But, other than that, like, Hawaii, it was absolutely beautiful. Love Hawaii. We took our engagement photos out there. So if you haven't seen them yet, just take a look at them. Like, it was, so there's like when you go, there's like an area of Hawaii called the North Shore area, and they have a beach called Sunset Beach, which, of course, as it says, you can see beautiful sunsets from there. But there's a beach that's also kind of like along the same shoreline. It's a little bit south of it. It's called Keiki Beach, and even that one is even more beautiful for like sunsets, in my opinion.
Okay.
And it has like a really nice beach too. So that's where we did our engagement photos.
Okay.
But yeah, and then we also, for me, I could have hiked, but that's not my point of going to Hawaii. My point is beaches. So I just go to like different beaches all the time, and there's tons of them, man. The island's not really big. Like I want to say it's about probably the same size of San Antonio, or maybe.
Okay.
So like to get from one end of the island to the other end of the island is like 45 minutes. So it's probably bigger. It might be like the same size as like Bear County. But no, yeah, it's always a good time. Always a good time.
Yeah. Well, not much was going on back here. You know, you had all the fun. Yeah. Well, the heat, it's ridiculous. I think we're starting to get a break. It's still hot, but it's coming down. There's no longer 100-degree weather. It's like now it's like 99 degree. You know,
dude, but that's so true. It is not at 100. It is at 99.
Yeah. So like it's coming down. So that means that fall is coming. So because I actually went outside to water the grass because I was like, what's the point in water this grass? Because if it's hitting over 100 throughout the day, like it literally is drying up all that water you just put out.
Especially here in San Antonio with the type of soil we have. So what I would recommend is getting like what's known as a drip system. Man, today's the only day that's not 100. Everything else is 100 plus.
So it's going back up.
Okay, man. Yeah, because it goes up to 103 next Sunday. So that's fun.
Yeah, because I was noticing, I looked at like the forecast and I was like, oh, everything's coming down. So that means fall's coming. I was like, now here we go.
Yeah, like I guess a dead cow bounces twice or something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, here, that was it. It was the heat. I mean, work as always, and then just taking care of family stuff and trying to upgrade this house that we live in so we can eventually rent it out. I think if I upgrade too much, my wife is not going to want to move. So I need to pick what I'm going to upgrade next to make sure.
Is that the goal already? Make sure she doesn't want to move, or
yeah, because I want to move to a different place, but it's just I wanted to make sure we did some upgrades here before we left, and she was saying that why are we doing all this stuff if we're going to leave? She kind of, then she'll want to stay because she says she wants to enjoy whatever it is that we purchased. Yeah. So I mean, some of it, yeah. So I know I need to do gutters. I don't understand why this house didn't come with gutters, but yeah. But see, if you go to some builders, they include the gutters.
Yeah, they'll include partial. They'll include like the front and parts of the front and parts of the back. Like they will the whole perimeter, which is a pain.
I mean, I would take that because the water, I mean, it comes down hard in the front, So that's something, I mean, which is needed because it can help with the foundation.
Yeah.
And I was going to extend the patio. I was trying to decide if I was going to do more than just extend, and I was going to tile it because, I mean, we like a little bit of outdoor life, so we can sit out there and grill and everything.
Something out there, looking out.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to decide if I wanted to go that far or if I just wanted to do it because it is a covered patio.
Yeah.
So if we just tile it and just make it look really nice and keep the seats under the covered patio portion, and then further out just have the grill and stuff like that. So I don't know, things to think about. Yeah. So we already did the floor. We talked about that before, and the stairs. And the other thing we were going to do is we always wanted to change the door out, and so we were looking at changing the door out, the front door, because it's and I didn't even know this much goes into looking for doors. So like you need to know if you want a wood door or what do you call it, a fiberglass door? Yeah, because like I guess the one they'll give you a lifetime warranty. The one place we went to, they give you a lifetime warranty for the fiberglass, but won't for the wood, even though the wood looks better than the fiberglass.
Yeah.
So like I was like, I mean,
because the wood, like you're gonna have problems with it because the temperature changes here because of expand and can't remember.
Yeah, and another thing, because I was asking questions, I found out if you're facing the west side or the west. If you're facing the west, that could be one of your issues because as the sun moves over, Yeah, it comes up on the east, but it makes its way to the west and it stays there for a minute before it goes down.
Yeah.
So like, I guess you get more heat or more sun on the west. And actually right now our door is facing like the west southwest type of area, and it shows because of paint. It needs to be repainted. And because I was noticing, like, my other neighbors are not having this issue where their paint is already, fading away.
Yeah.
And it's because of how we're faced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, stuff you learn as you live in a home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure people would learn it too as, let's call it, especially as things kind of get, or as you move, like if you're in a different area or different, like, so for example, like San Antonio is really hot and can be kind of humid. So that definitely affects wood a lot more than, or if you're in a very cold area, that also affects it. So it could be more affected to have like a fiberglass door or something like that.
Yeah. And they did have some that look good. I don't know. The wood looked better to me.
Yeah.
Like,
I definitely agree. Wood looks better. I was surprised they didn't show you like metal doors or something like that. Because those also look really good, kind of like how Jake's is. But yeah, you're definitely paying for it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We were deciding between those two. That's the wood and the fiberglass. We didn't ask for any of the other stuff. It's just, what they have and what they had in wood and what they had in fiberglass. And we liked how the wood just looked like with it. If say we get the ones with the glass in it, right?
Yeah.
It just looks like it goes with it. If you do one with fiberglass, they're like, even the guy pointed it out. It's like a frame where the glass, it sits in there, But the other issue was like, it's like if it ever breaks in the wood, then you got to replace the whole door.
Yeah.
Then I asked the question. I was like, how many people came back to buy a new door? And he didn't have an answer for that one. So I was like, all right. So we're going to continue. So I don't know. We really with the wood, I think you still can keep it on if you have a lot of heat. It's just you need to maintain it.
Yeah. You have to make sure to like repaint and reseal every so often, because like I said, it'll expand and stuff.
Yeah. So that's what I'm up to, and still got my rental property, and I had to, as they say, they say it's passive, right? It really isn't passive. No. So I have a property manager, but I didn't like what my property manager all right. So what happened was he put an item on the statement saying, hey, we had to do maintenance for this, but he didn't talk to me when he did it. Yeah. It just showed up on the monthly statement.
Right.
And then I asked about it, and he was like, oh, well, because in the contract say if it's emergencies, they just take care of it. But I was like, well, then why did you just report it after the fact?
Right.
Say, hey, he's done it for other things, right, but like he did. Yeah. So I was just thinking that, okay, yeah. And maybe because we didn't have tenants in it, it wasn't an emergency. He just wanted to report it just to see if I want to get it done. But this here, where I learned something new, pipes can have roots in them.
Yeah.
So in this particular situation, they said that they pulled roots out of there. I'm not sure if that is a true statement at all. Also, they put on there that they jet the system. I found out that was a lie.
Yeah. Because
when you get a person who's going to jet the system, they bring out a whole machine to do it. So it's there. So and that was the thing. I had somebody I know go by and ask the tenants about it, and he was like, "No, I don't think." He told me, he's like, "I don't think it was jetted. Because it would. They have to bring it out, with some type of trailer or whatever it is, unless it's on its own thing." Yeah. So so stuff I'm learning, and you can't trust everyone's word when it comes to that. So that was the thing. He was telling me it was emergency, had to get it done, and they did roots and it's all this other stuff, and I'm like, okay, cool, but I need to know. So what happened?
Did he ever send you the individual invoice of what the other contractors would do?
No, because it didn't happen, man. That's how I know it didn't happen.
Right. Well, then that seemed like I'll be like, where's that part? Because you could bill me for whatever you want, but I want to see the original invoice.
Yes, I asked for it. I asked, hey, you have any documentation on that jetting that you had done, right? Crickets. I didn't get anything. Crickets. All I got was another work. So what happened? We actually made a deal. So I didn't get rid of them. I made a deal. Was like the work orders come to me. Like he tell me, like they go to him first, but then he'll message me, hey, work order such and such came in at this time, and do you want us to take care of it, or do you have somebody? And lately, I'll just say I have somebody.
Yeah.
But it was perfect because one, it was hot and ACs are having trouble keeping up with the heat. So my only issues were the what do you call them, the AC. So it was AC issues, and I actually had somebody that was licensed to take care of that one. So that was pretty cool to kind of see the process too. So I know that it's not passive. That for sure I know is not passive. You like I got to get in here and I gotta help out with figuring out what's going to happen. And so it keeps me up to date on the real maintenance. So talking to my friend who is taking care of the AC stuff for me, and he asked me, hey, do you want to replace this unit? He's like, I don't think this unit's big enough for this house. I'm like, I was like, one, it was already old anyway. And so we're going to work that out, try to figure out when can we replace that. I'm thinking wintertime. If not winter, it'll be when it breaks, like when it breaks for good. But he knows someone where he can find units, and we're going to see if we can work that out.
Yeah, I would have them send you the, what's it called? The part or the product number or the model number.
Yeah.
And see if you can find one that's comparable. Because, dude, honestly, Mississippi is different than Texas.
Yeah.
But, we also have very similar problems here in Texas. I don't believe it's as wet as it is there.
Yeah, yes.
So, that's what I was doing this morning, was going over to another property, go check out the AC and stuff. And I've had, like, a few people check out that property for, like, what's the problem. And some of them have done, like, a few fixes, but it doesn't seem to have, like, moved the needle much or done as much stuff as I wanted to. I had another guy come out this morning. I met him up, and he was kind of educating me and talking me through it. And he was like, yeah, so whatever they did probably did, very minor changes to it, but it wouldn't have completely fixed it. He's like, it might, what their recommendation of the entire condenser, which for us is the entire outdoor unit, that might be right. And because the rating is good, like it's a good size for it.
Mm-hmm.
There shouldn't be anything really bad with it, but it is 17 years old. So it's, at that kind of point where it's a little too old. But yeah, so I'm probably gonna end up having to do that. But yeah, no, it is what it is, like with AC and stuff. I've always done, like, my due diligence to look into stuff. Like, I don't like when people just tell me words that I don't understand. So I'm like, okay, let me ingest that for a while and try to understand what you're saying to me. Because if you're not going to explain it to me, that for whatever reason now I have doubt of, like, what you're doing. Right. And you'll see that in IT and people's professional jobs where people start rambling off, like, different acronyms. Like, they start saying acronyms and, like, some people may do it to confuse others. Some people may just say them because they expect the other person to know whatever it is. Right. But for me, I'm going to ask the question, and I'm going to play dumb because I am dumb. And I'm going to ask, what is that? Or what does that mean? Or what does that do?
Yeah. Because
right now, to me, you're just saying words that mean nothing to me. And they probably could mean nothing. But so if you could explain it. So the guy that came out today was great. He, explained things to me in a very simple manner. But it still came to the same conclusion. It's just that when the other company made the same recommendation, they didn't explain anything to me. And honestly, typically I'll look at their notes and I'll try to look at what it was, but they didn't have that either. So I was like, okay, well, you're making me feel like you're just trying to come out or get over on me. So
yeah. And besides that, with that issue, and that's teaching me a lot, I went and picked up a CPA. So trying to, I mean, we talked about it before where, I was trying to decide, because one, doing tax stuff for real estate is totally different for me. So I didn't even want to attempt it. One, when you can pay somebody who already has the knowledge and knows where to go get all this information, even if they didn't know, all right, versus me who would have to trust whatever software I'm using or have to go and do the research. So, and I just, so that was something I was doing. I guess I'm growing up,
there you go.
No more doing my own taxes.
But I've been like, I think tax, and I actually haven't used it, and we're not sponsored by them. So if anyone's listening and starts using tax, because it's not my fault. But I think they had because I've at least, like, messed with some of their UI or their user interface, and they've had, like, we're like, hey, do you have any rental properties? Do you have this and this? And And I'm sure that works. And maybe I'm just an old head about that.
Yeah.
About using a CPA. I've definitely had a CPA. I had it before I started doing properties because I knew at some point I wanted properties.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I was going to do properties, I would want to vet them out beforehand before I have them start doing more money and more money and more money. So I had them do just like my basic tax returns. But like my family, we've always had CPAs. We never had, or like a CPA company, not CPAs just for us, but like do our taxes. We've never done the tax and we've never done them ourselves either. And it's always worked out fairly well. And even like my parents back in the day, they had gotten audited for some reason. But it was like, just a random audit, and they were lucky they had like that CPA for X amount of time because they had like all the records they needed and just sent them over.
Well, I mean, it's the same for the online software that you use. They'll keep all that stuff on hand for you. But what I always did, every time I finished, I would print off a copy. I put it in a manila envelope, write whatever year it is, and then I put it in a safe. So I always have it on hand, especially when you're getting loans for properties. So I'm never searching for anything because I already know where it is. And then all I do is either, if it's not in digital form already on my computer, then I have physical copies that I can just scan and send it as needed. So, but how it always started with me and how I ended up doing taxes myself, it was because when I was younger, obviously when you first start out, you don't make a lot of money. So someone's asking you to pay them to do your taxes, even though you're not even making a lot of money. I got like a simple like 1040, right? Was it 1040 easy or something like that? Yeah, it's just a simple one, right? And so I'm like, okay, and at the time I'm all about saving money. So what I did is I learned how to do it physically, like actually write down, go through the book. So do all the numbers myself and then e-file it myself. And that's how I started out. But then when I realized that there was software that was pretty accurate, like it was, it's spot on. And I started using that because it was like, well, hell, it's already asking me for this document. I got this document. Let me put this document. Like it was asking me everything I needed. Yeah, pretty much. And I was like, oh, this is so much easier. So I just continue to use that. And then it also helped being military. Then that service was free because it was military. So
I think it's better that you did it. I'm not even going to say old fashioned, but like in the hard format, and you did it yourself, because a lot of people, they just go through it and they don't understand it. And they just kind of just start clicking numbers or clicking letters or whatever it is. And, some of them may be even easier than that. They could just say, hey, upload this document and you're good to go. But I think to have that full understanding, because I think a lot of people, they'll go through certain things. And that doesn't have to be like with your taxes. It could be like with any application, whatever it is. They'll just kind of click through the buttons and like, yeah, we're good to go. Right. I think it's better to have that initial understanding, or that foundational understanding of like, oh, well, this is what this document is for. I'll submit this. Well, I had like charitable donations. I'm going to submit that. I bought a vehicle. I'm going to submit that, whatever it is.
But that's kind of like things I've been dealing with, which, like I said, to me, I love it only because you learn more. You need a challenge every now and again when it comes to the real estate, learning how to turn things over so you don't, continue. Because I never know if I'm going to cost myself money in this process, right? And I plan on adding more properties. And if I've already formed this relationship with the CPA, and right now, they seem very nice. And one of the reasons why I went to this person was because when I was looking up business stuff and I talked to her the very first time, and this was like 3 years ago, she was so nice to me to answer all my questions for free. You know what I'm saying? So like, I thought that was really cool. And when I went back to her, still wasn't super expensive just to even have have her look over my things the time I went to go visit. So I thought it was great. So I'm learning how to turn over a little bit so I can learn more.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And so like, every year in the military, we get like evaluations, right? My feedback that I got from my CO was that while I'm doing great and stuff, is like the biggest thing I don't do is delegate, right? Delegating certain responsibilities. And I will say that's like very consistent with the rest of my life. And I'm sure you're the very same. And it's because, and you'll find it with a lot of people, And if anyone's ever taken the DISC assessment, Craig and I are like high lessons, which is a very supportive people. And I talk about it a lot on like almost every episode of the podcast. And the reason why is because there's certain things that you need to identify with yourself. So being a high S, you want to be very supportive. You want to, like, anytime someone says, hey, I need help, you're on it, right? It doesn't matter if you know it, doesn't matter if you don't know it. It's just saying that someone else needs help, you're going to do it, right? You'll learn to help them. You'll sacrifice whatever it is to make sure that whatever they need is completed. Now, but we never do the same, right? Or it's hard for us to do. So like we could come to a sticking point where like it is something that we don't know. It's something that needs to get completed, but we just, we're not going to ask for help, right? Until like it's like the dead end or like there's a huge deadline or something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's good and bad, right? It's if they really look at a spectrum, there's going to be a point where I should have asked for help at this point, and it would have saved me X amount of time or X amount of money, whatever it is, right? And I'm slowly learning that as well. And I think for me, because I'm also a very process oriented, so I'm also a high C or a mid C for the DISC assessment, is that it's hard for me to let go of something and have someone else do it for me if I don't see the process, or if they're not following my process. And I'm not saying my process is good. If they don't show me a better process, then my process is good, right? Yeah. In my opinion, right? So from my perspective, so what I started doing and I'm slowly doing right now is like I'm creating like either like checklists or SOPs or videos or whatever it is, so that I can let go of a lot more responsibilities and I can do more of my own stuff. Because like I said, for both you and I, we'll pick up everything. Like we'll pick up our own stuff, we'll pick up someone else's stuff, and we'll see that at work. We'll see that, like I said, even in life, right? You'll do your kids' stuff, you'll do your wife's stuff, whatever it is, and then at some point when you're burnt out, we're tripping and we're like, why the hell aren't you helping me? Blah blah blah. Well, it's because we never asked for help.
And that definitely feels like my situation. I get, as you said, burnt out. I get burnt out really quick, and I'm like, you know what? No, let me try something else. Let me do something else. Because I can't. I don't know. It's hard to let go of certain things, especially when you want to get it done. Like let me help you out. We need to get this done. Let's get it done. Instead of letting somebody else sit there and just fumble around, let them learn a little bit. And like I'm ready to go ahead and just solve the problem. Yeah. But that's not all. It's not always good. One for both. You're taking on too much responsibility, and then the other person is not doing enough responsibility. Yeah. And then the same as like how you said it, not asking for help right away. And well, and I guess it depends on the situation, because I will just to, make sure if someone's involved, see if someone knows. And then same as delegation. That was something I had to learn big time, especially as when you're E6, so active duty E6. You have to get to that point where you learn how to delegate, because one, they're trying to get you prepped for E7. Yeah. As those become
managerial or administrative.
Yeah.
You have to lead more people.
Yeah. So, and you can't do all the work yourself, and work's going to keep coming in. So you have to learn how to like see who can do this and who's not. But a lot of times in the Army is like, okay, I got a body, I got to get this done. Let me give it to this person. But one of the things too is like learning people's skills, right? You learn what skills they have. So if you ask for their help or gave them work, this is, it fits them and they're able to take care of it quickly. Yeah. So no, it's a big. I think life in general, it's a learning process. It doesn't matter how old you get, you don't stop learning.
I think for me, especially or for people that are younger, I think if you identify certain things. So, and the reason why I love the DISC assessment is because it does help me identify like why I clash with certain people. So like we used to have a person on the program who was very process oriented. And most of the people on the team would wonder why he was like that. And I was like, man, he's just a high C. Like, meaning that, like, if he doesn't see the process, then it confuses him totally. It could be something simple. It could be changing IPs. It could be rebooting a box. And I mean, like, very simple. But if he doesn't see the process, and it's not like he's not smart, it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. It's just that it has to be in a certain stepped order, or
Yeah.
he's gonna lose his shit, right? Which is
Yeah.
okay, but like when you don't understand that, and I don't understand that, or like the rest of the team doesn't understand it, then there's gonna be a conflict, and it's because it's a lack of understanding of each other, not exactly of the problem, but of each.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna have to try this assessment so I can actually look at it. But I do believe you what you said. If S is for that high supportive.
Yeah, I want to say for you, you're probably a high S, high I type of person, because you also like to socialize with people. So
Yeah.
and I'll kind of run through it right now. So D is a very dominant people. So those are like want stuff done right now and can lead. And I is your interpersonal type of people. People that like to talk. So like think of Ron, right? He's very interpersonal, right? He likes to talk, chop it up with people, right? And S, like I said, is a high supportive. So like think of you, me, and like a few other people on the program. And then a C is a very high process oriented. So think of someone that like loves checklists, needs something to be done in a specific order, right?
Yeah.
And like some people, like, so one of the people I listen to is named Dr. Eric Thomas, and the way he kind of refocuses it is that like a D is like your pilot, like a flight pilot, as in you don't need to tell the pilot what to do. You don't need to tell the pilot really anything. You never get to really see the pilot as a passenger. You never really get to see the pilot, right?
Yeah.
You know that they're there. You know that they're going to take you from point A to point B, right? But you don't have to even you don't have to say, oh, maybe you should go this way, maybe you should go that way, right? They know exactly what they're doing. They don't need intervention, right? If I'm a high I, that's the people that are very interpersonal. Those are the flight attendants, right? You see them all the time. They talk to you. They help you, whatever it is, right? So that's like that illusion. The high S's are the grounds crew, right? You never really see them, right? But you kind of hear them out there. You see that the work's getting done, and without them, a lot of the parts of the airport or the plane probably wouldn't function as well, right? Yeah. And then C is like your air traffic controllers, meaning that they're making sure that flights are leaving and coming in properly, that when a flight is able to land, they do land properly, like nothing's in their way, all that. So they make sure all the checks are good, and then people are good to go, right? So that's like the illusion that he's kind of made for it. And I like it a lot because like me, especially as an S, and if I think the grounds crew, you really don't see him. Like you might see him like if you look out your window in the plane and you see him driving around, but like other than that, you don't really see him. But you know the work's getting done because your bag made it from A to B, or hopefully your bag made it from A to B. But fortunately for me, my bag's always made it from A to B in a timely manner. But yeah, and like I said, it's all about really identifying like who you are and kind of figuring out like, why am I clashing with this person? Like, is it really? Because it's typically never like a personal. It's not like they beat me up when I was a kid and like now I'm jaded about it or something like, or they cheated me out of money or something like that. Right? Yeah, it's always like, why don't they see the same thing that I see? Right? Or why are they not understanding where I'm coming from? And it's because I'm not communicating, or I am not meeting them in a way that they are understanding.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's pretty cool. No, it's always good to know who you are, because you know how to, I guess, receive criticism. Yeah. Because if you don't know who you are and someone's trying to tell you, hey, I noticed you do this, and you're like, no, I don't do that, Yeah. But if you can recognize who you are, you can receive the criticism that can actually help you improve, because it's hard to see ourselves. We can look in the mirror, but we still can't see ourselves, right? No, I mean, that's really how it is. It's like, I don't know, I guess as growing up too, it's the same thing. I used to, honestly, I'm probably a little stubborn now, but I think I was really stubborn back then, because it's like I didn't really understand what people were saying. Yeah. And so I guess that's all part of growing up. You start to look in a little bit so you can accept the outside. And so I don't know. That's good stuff, right? To understand that. Yes, checklists are good because that gives you that accuracy, right? Yeah. You know that you hit it, right? And also checklist keeps down complacency, but then I guess it could create it at the same time. So it keeps it down. Because if someone's like, hey, make sure you hit these things right here and make sure you go by, like look at it to the T, right? Yeah. Like make sure everything, every little piece is there. And then if you start to get to that point where at that point, you see it all the time, you memorize it, complacency could creep in, right? But if you treat it that way with the checklist, and then all right, things are getting done because they know how to follow direction just like that. Yeah.
And you'll see like a lot in the military, right? A lot of people are probably C's in the military because the military is all about processes, right? As in like, even from boot camp, like from the jump, like you have to wear your clothes a certain way, you have to tie your shoes a certain way, like your laces have to be specific, your hair, everything has to be in a specific uniformity, right?
Yeah.
And that's what like a C is. They're very uniform. They do that. So like I will say, like, especially if you're young and you join the military, you'll probably grow up, and depending on how long you stay in active duty, you'll probably become that C just naturally, right?
Yep.
As you're kind of like in that culture and environment. The only bad thing about a C is that they're not very adaptive, right? Which I think the military also will teach you at some point, and I guess like depending on how you grow. But to be adaptive means that there may not be a checklist in front of you. There may not be a policy there. There may not be a procedure that's going to help you. So you need to be able to, learn how to turn on a dime, like Barry Sanders, and adjust to that situation that's in front of you to make sure that whatever it is, like if it's an IT problem, like a bunch of computers just like, blew up or whatever, or you can't reach them, whatever it is, there's no procedure on, when something just goes away. So, but what a procedure is good for is that, when you're passing down information and knowledge, like you said, like that delegation portion where we don't trust that they have the correct process, but we're also not communicating our process, right? Yeah. And even if we are, we're probably not doing it effectively. So a good way to do it is create a procedure for it, or create a video for it, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Now because especially the program that we're on, things can happen, like just out of the blue. Like you gotta make sure that you are able to meet the customer's need or the user need, whatever, right? And be able to fix your problems at the same time. So one day everything is smooth, another day everything's on fire. Like you got to be able to go. Like there's no like, hey, here's the manual just in case things go on fire. All you have is like
we don't have a thing.
Now, all you get is references, right? So like we have like, like it'll be a field guide or be like some documents that talk about the system or whatever it is, right? But you don't have, just in case this happens, you need to do this. It's not always like that. It's only that for some things.
Yeah.
So that's, But that whole thing about adapting and following direction. So that was one of the things I had to shape as I was coming off of active duty. I had to shape, because that is part of it, being uniform, but then being adaptive at the same time. But they clash, because the uniform stays, because if you want to survive, like, and make sure you're hitting on your marks in the military, is being uniform. Don't rock the boat too much. Just kind of follow that line. As they always say, they tell us this. Army's easy. All you got to do be at the right place at the right time in the right uniform. There you go.
That's true. Yeah.
And that was kind of like they take that everywhere, right? So it's like, the main things to do, and then everything else is like it comes along. So like you only adapt because you have to go somewhere different, and that's one of the things too. I think that causes a lot of friction when you move, especially like I was telling you, when you go from a high-paced unit to a slower unit. Now you got this friction because I got to adjust to these people. The other thing that kind of creeps in the way is like, I got to prove myself all over again, so, and you think you got to still prove yourself at that high point, when really they're just like, no, do you do your job? Yeah. Are you good? Yeah. So it just depends on the situation.
No, I definitely agree with that. And the thing is, like, maybe the Navy might be slightly different, especially like for when you're on ships and stuff, because just like our program, anything could happen, right, on a ship. Yeah. Like, and on a ship, like I said, I've never been on a ship, but from like a lot of my buddies, like sea stories and stuff, is that while you are your specific job, right, you could be in IT, you could be cyber, you could be, fire control, whatever it is, you're going to have to do more than just that on a ship, right? Yeah. And sometimes, maybe that person, they just do their job, right? But on a ship and in the Navy in general, more is expected of you to do, right, than just your single job, which is good and bad. But I think that's where at least a lot of my buddies, they're very adaptive versus instead of being very process oriented, that like kind of will shine out.
Yeah. Man. Okay. All right. We're never gonna get to the topic. You know what? This is a topic.
This is the topic.
Yeah. This is. I think this is a good conversation, because like it meets different things, and yeah, everyone out there, you can see the things that we deal with in our life. We're normal people, like normal people with normal needs that trying to figure out life as everyone else is.
Because like another illusion that was kind of put for like the DISC assessment, especially for communication, is that when you're a high S, and I've definitely noticed that with me and like some of my managers or old managers, is that when I'm communicating with them, I don't provide them exactly what they need. Right.
Yeah.
As in, if a leader or if your manager is like a high D or a high I or a high C and you're a high S, then you're going to give them stuff that doesn't matter. So like with a high C, another thing is like metric, right?
Yeah.
Like how many people did you help, right? Instead of like a high S is like, I'm just helping people to to get stuff done. And then a high I is like, well, how many of those people do you remember? How many of those people, you know, made a connection with you? How many of them remember your name? All right.
Yeah.
And then like a high D is like, well, did the work at the end of the day, did the work get done?
Yeah.
Right. And that's about it. But in the way the illusion goes is that you have a key for your house, and you have a key for your car, or you have a key for your mailbox. But if you go up to your house with the key for your car, is your door going to open? Right.
Okay.
I'd say not.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
And that's the thing, is that sometimes when we approach certain conversations in certain communication channels, is that we're coming in trying to get into the house and we're using our car door or our car key. Right.
Yeah.
And it's just that being able to identify that when you are communicating, that you're communicating in the proper channel or proper way, right? So that if I want to open my door, I want to use my door key. How do I use my door key, right? In the communication sense. So if I'm going up to someone like a person that I know is a high I, right? Like if I'm talking to Ron, like you want to bring up certain things, like you want to have a story in it, right? You have everything into it. Or like if you talk to someone that's like I said, very metric focused, and you're a high S and you didn't really, focus on like how many people you're helping, maybe it helps just to like start writing down names or the amount of things, because you'll find it, especially in high S's, it's hard to maybe for them to promote because they're not capturing all the metrics of, this is the amount of people I helped, or these are the amount of systems I fixed, or these are the amount of tasks that were completed and, ended up for benefiting the command for this amount of time, whatever it is. Right?
Yeah.
And so and that's one of the key things I take away is that when I'm trying to communicate, at least in my professional life, and I should probably do this more in my personal life, but when I try to communicate, is that I'm communicating properly in the correct format that they want.
Yeah. No. So keeping up with tallies, that's one reason why I can be terrible at writing my own evaluation. Yes. I can write somebody else's evaluation. Yes. I can't write my own. It's because I don't keep up with the things I do. Because I just feel like, well, if it's work, it needs to get done, and I'm knocking it out. That's all I know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like even like we do our retrospectives, right? So you do we use Agile for our
project
our work. Yeah, Agile Manager for our work. And so when you do retrospective, you're supposed to talk about like the things that you executed that was part of that sprint. And sometimes, unless I'm going off of what's up there on the board, it's hard for me to remember exactly what did I do, because all I did was just work. Yeah. I'm there for whatever I need to be there for. And then if things come up, I'm knocking them out and then I move on. And I remember in the past, I had leadership tell me, hey, make sure you write down everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Because obviously they can tell I'm busy, right? But then I never keep up with what I was doing. Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the things still learned throughout my life.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and that's why I like kind of talking about it, especially if, anyone's like in the younger years. I mean, it helps everyone, but if you can figure this out when you're younger, it definitely, in my opinion, makes life, and at least your professional life, a lot easier, because you're not like they're just like contemplating like, why doesn't this person understand why I'm saying, or why do all these people say the same thing? Like, I need to write these down. Like, I've gone through 3 or 4 jobs where everyone keeps saying this. Like, why is it? And I still don't do it because I don't understand why they need it, right? Why is it important? Like, how many people I helped? Like, who cares? Like, I did the job, right? Or I'm keeping myself busy. Like, I'm actually working. Like, when I'm saying I'm here for 8 hours, I'm actually here for 8 hours. Right?
Yeah.
And then you'll see the opposite, where people, they just care about metrics and they don't care like what actually happened between it. And you'll definitely see that in our program as well. But man, when I started like learning about it, I was like, holy crap. Like, one, I hate almost every other personality except for mine, because I think mine's the best. And the reason why I think mine is the best is because like it feeds my purpose, right? Helping people feeds my purpose. So like when I see other people not helping others and like just helping themselves, to me, I'm like, that just seems wrong, right? And like I say, it's probably because it clashes with my personality, but I was like, why is this person like in this position? And it doesn't seem like they've helped anyone else but themselves.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I hate that. Yeah.
And like, of course, you'll see it in the military too. But I'm like, why is this a thing? Like, and it makes me a little jaded or a little upset. But then, you kind of, like I said, as you understand yourself and you understand others, it makes things clearer. It still pisses me off, but having that understanding, it doesn't make me confused. Like, I get it. Like, I understand why they're in this position because they are grabbing the metrics. And I'm sure the person that was above them loved metrics. So that's why they got where they are.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I guess since we'll have to title this one since we've been talking this whole time, but at least we can go into our article, right? Right. So we did pick out an article for this week, and this one's on technology, AI. Obviously, everyone's talking about AI, and this one here is from Fox Business News here. This one's AI automation more likely to negatively affect women workers than men, and they put study also. So maybe. And in the forecast that they were trying to say was study forecast 12 million occupational transitions may be necessary by 2030. Okay. And it's also just so we give credit to the person who wrote the article is Julia Musto. That's Yep. So just to talk about that a little bit. At first, when you see the article, I guess that's why they try to write it like that. It seems like, okay, well, they're trying to say something against women, but in the end, as you read through the article, it's actually talking about more than just women. It's actually talking about like more of the lower income, or I guess blue collar work in a sense, right? Yeah. So in the end, it's talking more about that because over time you would have to transition, get the education necessary to be able to be in the field to whatever technology is replacing that lower style job, Yeah. So in here, it has, obviously they write in here a lot about the 2030, but then I'll just read it one piece of the forecast that additionally 12 million occupational transitions may be needed by 2030 as activities that account for as many as 30% of hours currently worked across the U.S. economy could be automated. I mean, yeah. So we, as now we do automate tasks. Yeah. I mean, now we're trying to get more than just our software to automate tasks. We're trying to get actual, in a sense, it will be a robot, right? Yeah. I mean, there's a good and bad to it, right? Some of those lower jobs have a lot of safety risk, which actually could help with that. Yeah. So if you train the person that's being replaced how to use the technology instead of just completely replacing them, because they're gonna need someone to make sure that it's getting done still, right?
Yeah. Same thing with like other technology. We were talking about it earlier before the podcast, but assembly lines went through the very similar thing where a lot of manual labor, and that stuff is also very dangerous, like working with different tools, especially like power tools, like it can be very dangerous. But it did put a lot of people that were in that specific field out of work. But on the other hand, I think it also created opportunities for people to, of course, learn, grow, and get a different type of job, but still contributing to that line of work. So if you worked on an assembly line and something took over that position, like Craig said, you could learn about whatever it is that took it, and you could maintain it, you could engineer it, you could make it better, whatever it is. And I think that's what a lot of people are kind of missing from this, is that yes, it's going to quote unquote take away jobs, but it could also include more jobs or expand other job opportunities.
Yeah. So and as we go down the article more, as it says, it just used women as an example. Women are, for example, heavily represented in the office support and customer service fields. The study says could shrink by about 3.7 million and 2 million jobs, respectively. I said that correctly. Respectively, by 2030. Yeah.
So they're saying like, so for office support jobs, it'll probably reduce by 3.7 million, and then customer service says it'll reduce by 2 million.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it has another piece here. And I guess this one is talking about like shrinking occupations. And this one here is notably Black and Hispanic workers are highly concentrated in some shrinking occupations within customer service, food services, and production work. You know, kind of like what you were saying too about assembly line work too. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good article. Like I said, I guess they do that catcher where they pick one. You know, I mean, yeah. When you say women only, but in reality, it's more to it than that. So, but I guess that's all about being a good writer. Like you know how to catch. Yeah, I don't know how to catch your attention. So like it make you want to look at it. But yeah. So I mean, with AI technology, I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, it's happened over time. Things have already been automated. So like people have already lost their jobs because of automation, because they realize some work cause injury or harm to life, or people just get worn down. It can be anything. And then when you have where people are asking for higher wage, and it's going to happen regardless, because if we got inflation that's crazy, where our normal expenses are crazy, you know, you're going to have to pay people to survive, you know, so.
Yeah. Well, and like we were talking about earlier, even like CPAs, right? How there was a way to do it just by hand, and you know, it took X amount of time, and then there became more software and stuff, e-filing, whatever it is. So like I said earlier, it's been around. Like this type of thing has been around, and maybe I would have to look at the statistics of comparison of just general technology versus AI technology on how well it expands or propels where labor is taken over. But like I said, to me, it provides a lot more opportunities as well as taking away opportunities. But I think that's, you know, part of the evolution of life.
Yeah. So I mean, it's gonna happen regardless. And as I think we were looking at a video earlier where they were requesting for a pause in development of AI. Yeah, because they want to try to catch up, let society catch up, or I have to relook at the video exactly what was the idea behind the pause exactly. But hey, I mean, things are going to develop quickly anyway, and that's just how technology is. Yeah. So yeah, there we go. You want to do the close out or me?
Yeah. All right. I want to thank everyone for listening. This is Jay and Craig signing out from Troubleshooting Light Podcast. Please like and subscribe and share it out to anyone that you can benefit from it. And we'll see you next week.
All right. We'll see you next week.